Good morning to everybody. Welcome to Mind Sparkle Series. Mind Sparkle Series is an online initiative conceived during this pandemic times. During the pandemic times, you must have heard that everywhere you read about shutdowns, lockdowns, negativity, apprehensions, fear, the dark times coming, and doomsday predictions. So these were the times, and still it is continuing to a certain extent, in which we had a lot of questions for the future. What would happen to the economy? What would happen to the education sector? What would happen to the employability aspect in the coming days? What would happen to our career prospects? What would happen to our future dreams which we have in our mind? So these were some of the things that people across all walks of life were asking. So I have a thought that during those time I discussed with few of my friends, including Dr. Afroz Alam Sahib, who is the speaker today, that there is a possibility that human minds, when they get entrapped with negativity, they start going downhill and start thinking about dark times. And you will always remember that if you know more about anything, the less fear you will have about that thing. So fear is inversely proportional to the knowledge. In fact, the more knowledge you will have, the less fear you will have about anything. So it is directly related to your career also. So we thought that let everything get shut down. Let not the mind and hope get shut down. These are the two important aspects which should never get shut down. So mind is our intellect and hope is our only career. So with this, we started this Mind Sparkle series, in which we bring people from all walks of life. Those who are experts in their field, those who can give you guidance, those who can take you forward towards hope. And not only because of their expertise in knowledge, but because of their own personal success stories. These are the people who have carved out distinctions in their field, who have created a space for themselves in their field, and who have been respected in their field for their hard work, dedications, and commitment. These are the people who are simple like you and me, and but by their own success and their commitment and dedication towards their cause, they have risen up. So combining these two factors, expertise and their own success personal stories, we thought that will bring such simple people, those people who can inspire you, who can show you the guide, who can be your guide or your career in your life, or your mentorship provider all across your journey. So with this focus in mind, we brought so many speakers on this Mind Sparkle series, and I'm really thankful to those people and the audience. Today we have a personality who is from the academic field, Professor Afroz Alam. He is the professor of political science and head of department of Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. And he's also the director for the Policy, Exclusion and Inclusive Growth Center at MANNU. So he carries a lot of expertise in the field of academics. He himself started as a student who thought very big and achieved those aspects through his hard work. And through his journey of 10 to 15 years in the academic field, he has a rich knowledge to guide you. He has been a rich expertise of knowledge in the field of politics. He is a columnist who writes for major newspapers in the field of constitutional law, in the field of democratic governance, in the field of institution building and political reorganizations, political parties. He has authored many books. 2 or 3 books are coming in the next year from Routledge and Cambridge University Press. So he has a rich things to offer to our audience in terms of academic, and what are the future prospects in academic, how you can build up your career, and how you can shape your dreams towards an academic field, not in India only, but outside also. What are the ways in which you can inculcate your career probabilities in the field of research, in the field of surveys, in the field of lecturership, and a host of other associated issues. So with these things, I would like Dr. Afroz Alam to take over the proceedings and enlighten us with his vision for the day. Dr. Afroz Alam, the platform is yours.
Thank you, Shahnawaz Qasim sir, and for the opportunity to speak in a very exciting series hosted and started by you, the Mind Sparkle series. I never thought of that. I will be one fine day be engaging the people at this platform, which is quite getting popular, not in India, but across the world. My friends are calling for this talk only that. So you are having a session which is going to be moderated by one of the most promising officer in civil services. And a civil services trying to engage an academic for target students who may want to
Hello?
join academic career.
Hello?
Am I audible? Hmm.
Afroz, go on. Afroz,
Uh,
please go on. Okay.
okay, so fine, because let me share few things. The question whether I want to pursue my career, because that was the most crucial moment of my life when I did when I was pursuing my education at Aligarh Muslim University, that where to go and what career options I had to choose. So a lot of questions, and I personally remember, because if you are having a right mentee mentor in your life, you will have a right ways to pursue. And thankfully, I remember I got good teachers in my life, good mentees, and one of uh, the person was Mr. Shahnawaz Khan, who was my teacher and friend both at the same time. He had some questions to me, and the one question which he thought of, that think about what you are going to do in your working life, and and what is your career goals, whether you want to go with the management, you want to go with civil services, you want to have a research career, you want to have a academic teaching career, you want to build your career in administration. So lots of things he has before me, and he wanted us to choose, and not me but many friends during that period of time. And at that point of time, I was not having the clear answers. And but gradually, the moment I carried forward, and I had two things in my mind. And the one is that whatever field you choose, uh, you choose not to be mediocre. And and the one quote from my teacher I remember was that success is bastard and failure is orphan. That if you are a successful in your life, whatever career you choose, you will have many takers. And similarly, there was another when I was receiving Shah Waliullah Award in 2010. A very close, known person and highly placed now said that, Afroz, whatever you are doing in life, somebody is observing you. So, and whatever that is, and that observation of yours, what you do, will help you in your career this way or that way. Be that as it may, let me tell you, friends, I had a clear option in my life, and I choose academics as my career. And thankfully, whatever ways I am doing, I have a personal satisfaction, and there are plans. So the problem is, there are the why do I choose academics as my career? There were lots of other career available before me, but every individual is having their own bent of mind and their own interest to pursue. I felt that my interest lies in academic and research, and that was the early identifications. And there were many reasons before me at that point of time which I wanted to that school, because why academia? That was the question, and the question is still is coming up from many friends of mine, many students of mine, that why to choose academic as a career. And I offer sometimes a superficial answer, sometimes a very experiential answer, sometimes a very futuristic answer. And those are the things. Then the first way is that I personally felt that academic career is a creative career. You are going to create something, you are going to give your society back. And in terms of that, if I'm an that is IPS officer, IS officer, if you're at something else, I may be doing my service with great efficiency. But if I'm a teacher, if I'm a researcher, I'm giving back. It gives you a great sense of creative satisfaction. I can produce thousands of the people who may shape the country in the different fields. The second problem was that academics is a career which pays you for the things you like the most. so that there is a work satisfaction, that I am interested in academics, I'm interested in teaching, I'm interested in research, but I'm equally at the same time fed by my institutions, which satisfies my bellies as well. The two things, that it is creative opportunity, it is a creative vocation, and the second one is that it gives you maximum satisfaction. And not only that, it offers you a great degree of autonomy in your work style. But the moment, if you are working in your institution as an academic, you will be able to enjoy highest degree of autonomy, and that autonomy will shape you, that is your life in the future career. And not only that, there is a flexible working practices. There is no rigid pattern, there is no rigid framework like that from academia. You have a liberty at home, and that liberty is a flexibility of the work environment. You are given you are placed in a working situations where you have to constantly work on your mind and your teaching. So to that flexible working environment where you will not get a sense of that you are doing a job, but you are doing a service indeed. Similarly, there is an academic freedom, and that freedom is not available to many of us who are doing in the rigid uh, uh, careers. In academia, you can take on many things. You can have your own opinions with limited restrictions in your life. So there is, you can pursue a research on the questions which you want, which suits you the most, which is appealing, which is relevant for the society, which may be for or against the establishment or the mainstream. That is the freedom available with the academics. Similarly, that academia is a global sense of community, that you are, if once you join an academia, you are no longer an isolated individual working or as an individual employee of a company, but you are connected with a global community of the researchers, teachers, and consultants. So there is a sense of bonding develops, that if you are a professor, and it gives that science, because the thing is that you will get a chance to meet people across the world, because once you are invited to deliver a talk in the department, the conferences, or the research projects, or whatever may be, that you develop a wide network. So that those are things, and the above all everything, what I felt the most was that academia is a noble profession. It gives me a satisfaction, and I am made for it. That early realization of the fact that what do I want to do in my life is to pursue a career in a field which gives you maximum satisfaction. And that was the early realization in me. And I did not apply for anything else in my life. I straight away decided that I will be pursuing my graduation, and then I will be doing a master degree, and then I'll be going with higher studies, I'll be doing PhD. So those are the things which was clear to me. But there are many ways that, because if you want to build your career in the academics, the thing is that there are many things. So one is you have to build your career as a student, that career as a student, that what kind of student you are, what kind of things impresses you the most, and what research interest in you which gives you an edge over the others. So that those were the things, and what institutions, what subjects I am studying, in which institutions I am studying, and with what kind of people I'm working. Those are the things are very, very important. It worked for me, it worked for many friends of mine, and it may work for you as well. So the idea is you have to build that. What should I do that? The first criteria is whether my interest lies in those teaching and research and consultancy or not. So it's true, as a student, you cannot afford to be as a mediocre student, or you are only interested in 2+2 work, because that academia requires a critical thinking. It requires an imagination. It requires that the things, your personal love for the discipline in which you want to pursue your career. If you are not having a domain expertise, you cannot. So those things were already in mind uh, that I have to pursue a career in academics in India. Let me take some examples that when I decided that when I did my PhD in political science, and I was thought that I want to do a job, that where to apply and where to go and who, which institutions will look after. Those were the challenges, and let me tell you certain. First, certain pragmatic realities you must keep in mind. And the first, that is, those pragmatic realities are, if I'll say that globally, it's not about only in India, that you must remember that the universities and colleges are reliant on public funding, and that public funding is shrinking. And now the universities have to work on financial resources, which is very, very limited, which is tightly squeezed. They have to generate their own resources, and that is why if you will see that most of the universities, even in India, there are government circulars, there are internal, that is changes is happening, that the university has to generate its own resources to maintain the university. And therefore there is a, you will see that the budgeting, there is a cost cutting, there is an accountability, and there is a performance indicators involved. Not only that, so there is, academia is not an easy world, it is a competitive world. And you will find that globally there are 25,000 universities in the world. And in India, if I'll say that, if I'll go with the latest government report, there are around 993 universities in central universities, 46 central universities. There are state universities, there are deemed universities, there are private universities. And not only that, second one is there are around 51,000. In fact, there are 51,000 higher educational institutions in India. 51,000. So your career, you imagine a situation, you are, if you choose an academic as a career, you are placed in a competitive university, in a competitive system where there are thousands of the universities and more than a half a lakh of the colleges and higher educational institutions. Is still, those institutions are struggling to survive, struggling to maintain themselves financially, and therefore you will say that there is a limited opportunities, and if you are not good enough, you are not going to be hired. So similarly, that what I mean to say that there is another phenomena which is taking place. There are involvement of big giant corporates. Earlier, the traditional universities producing the graduates, postgraduates, and researchers, and the giant corporates, the private sectors, and they were hiring them. Now that the giant corporates, the big private companies started investing in higher educations, and they wanted to produce the kind of graduates they want. So therefore, it is putting a challenge on the traditional universities whether they can afford a certain faculty or researcher or consultant who is not relevant to the society. And therefore, there is, because with the involvement of the corporate sector, and let me tell you that education is fast moving from a service commodity to a business commodity. It's simply that the corporates are into a situation who are actually selling the education and research knowledge, and they need to, and they in the university system, the traditional university system, there was a requirement that they have to change their orientation. There is a management, and it has become a business. The university is no more that, you are no more that a professor or that is something like a very nobody in respect, but you are now an employee, and the university is now a company. So there is a change in the working environment in contemporary times, in the neoliberal economic order, where there is a cross-cutting competition. And if you are in during this period of time, if you are not able to move from your traditional ways of looking at academia as a career and adopt new techniques and tools and knowledge base, you are going to be irrelevant, and therefore upgrade your knowledge base. And similarly, that if you're not having reputations, uh, that is, you have to work on your that and the reputation. And reputation in the academic world is not coming from the university, but from your peer groups who are working with you. They circulate, your students, your colleagues, your people you interact with during the different networking exercises. They carry your name forward and you make yourself popular. Even if you're a student, you are being circulated. If you're working on your imaging, that is most important things, and you have to take care of that. So that is the things which I wanted you to take into mind, that how do that I have to work on paths into the academia, and that path is all about that. There are three routes to join the academic world, and the one is the traditional route, and the second one is the professional route, and the third one is the teaching route. The traditional route is all about that. I did my master degree, I did my PhD, and I therefore I have to pursue for the academics. I come in contact with my supervisors or some of my friends who want me to apply for certain positions. Like for example, in India, if I remember that, what are the academic positions? If you say that there is a possibility at the earlier stage, if you are a new researcher, um, you have an opportunity that you can go with a research assistant if you want to make your career in research, research assistant, then the research associate, then the project associate, then the project fellow. If you want to pursue a career in research, then in teaching there is one way of looking. There is two ways. There is a lower education. There is a TGT and PGT programs, which immediately start after your PG programs. And then in higher educational institution, the most important requirement is your PhD. If you are not having a doctorate of philosophy in your concerned discipline, you are not going to be taken very seriously by the reputed institutions. So the idea is you have to, if you have a PhD, then you can apply for assistant professor, there are associate professor, and there are professors. And these are that is the traditional, you can apply. And since you are a beginner, you can apply for the assistant professor. Most of the time, because you know that we are in a very competitive system, there is a cost-cutting mechanism, budgeting, and therefore full-time employment is a rare possibility. There, universities are now switching to offering the visiting faculty, guest faculty, and then the contract teaching, then the temporary teachings, and they judge you whether you are good for the institution or not, whether you are performing or not, and therefore they think of going with the regular appointments as assistant professor. In India, that you have seen that if you're already an assistant professor, you have to work for your promotions from assistant to associate professor, from associate to professor positions. And nowadays there is a possibility that there is a global. If you are relevant in your field, there are global takers. And I'm saying that if there are around 25,000 universities in the world, you shall be preparing yourself to be employed by the 25,000 universities in the world. You should not be only limiting what we actually do, that if we are a product of one university, we start looking career option in that university only. So we have to explore the wider options. And wider option is, there is local level options, there is a state level option, there are national level options, there are global level options. So you have to upgrade your knowledge and skill and relevancy, where you will be able to work on those institutions, and they may able to take you that. So therefore that expectations is becoming very high in academic world as well, and therefore that you have to constantly upgrade yourself, uh, and those things can be achieved only by means of hard work and having a real sense of purpose in your life. That is the most important thing, that so you should be able to know that what you actually want to achieve in your life. So to get the best advice possible at the earlier stage of time, and retain a clear sense of purpose in your mind, what do you want to achieve and where do you want to land up in academic. And similarly, that build a good network, because if you have three things which I personally say, that if you have a required eligibility, that is not enough. That is not enough. Everybody is having that. Imagine a situation, India is producing 1.7 lakh PhD scholars everywhere. Where do you stand? So that's the what gives you a different age over the others. That is the things you have to work, and that the edge is one is that you build your networking. Network is very, very important in academic world. And how to build that network? So you have to build your network when you are students. So networking amongst your peer friends, that is the students. Networking with your teachers, that your teacher must recognize you, remember you. Second is that you should not only working on that, you should be attending the conferences when you are a student, raising questions. Then you should be applying for as a speaker participant across the world. So going across, that is, make your presence felt wherever you are. So the network is, and that network is not enough if you are not having a public reputation. Well, build your reputation. Branding is important. If you are a student, even then you have to brand yourself that you are different from the rest of the students. And that happens when you come out with sincerity, with hard work, with the kind of knowledge and the reading habits which others cannot do. So you have to constantly work on. So your public reputation in the eyes of your peers, in the eyes of your friends, in the eyes of the employers, I am telling you that whatever you are doing, somebody is observing you. That is the most important thing. So I said that there is a traditional roots of going to the academia where you have a minimum eligibility and what you have to do. Second one is that in academia there is a professional route, and professional route is I'm not a student. I have my student career is over. I'm working in a company. I'm working as a company. I'm working as a freelance person. Either I am a freelance journalist, either I'm having a managerial excellence. I'm giving consultancy to the people. Either I'm working in a private sector companies. Even like many ways. If I'm a professional and I want to join academia as a board, nowadays that universities, in order to survive in the competitive world, they have to introduce lot of expertise program. They have to introduce that capsule program, skill enhancement program, or vocational studies which are relevant for the market, industry oriented programs, and for which they need an experienced people. And that experienced people will come not from the academia but from the professional world. For example, if you have a mass communication course, you need an expert, the journalist who can come and teach you the practical niceties. Similarly, from the industry, they have to teach on that. So there is, you have to develop there. The principle is that is networking, expert domain knowledge, and that is most important. Similarly, that if you are a teacher, because many of us we start that despite we got an early chance as a guest faculty, as a temporary and ad hoc faculty, and then we don't know that either by matter of chance or by matter of connections or by any other ways we got early recognition. Then we are not able to think and pursue like what is ahead, how to pursue my life, and therefore here you need to be planned. And for all those things, three things you must keep in mind. The one is that if you are interested into the path of academia, those skills that you must have a research skill, you must have a teaching skill, you must have a consultancy, a professional practice, you must be that is administration. Because in academia, what is the whole thing, that why do I want to join academia? Either I'll go for a research, I'll go for a teaching, I will go for that is a consultancy because I am working in a private firm and the university has hired me to give certain consultancy. Or university is, because nowadays the university is more a managerial system. They want to hire more and more HR professionals. For example, they need a controller of examination, they need expert people, they need directors, they may need the other professionals in, for example. So idea is when administrative work is very, very higher in the administration, you just be ready. What I personally say that, yeah. So what are the, that is what do I look into a researcher? Because there must be something that the budding researchers who are starting, those students who are starting as a career as a researcher, they decided, I did my MA, I did my MSc, I did my MCom, I want to pursue a PhD, the higher degree of those things. So in developing that is the research aspect of your career, you need to make a real name for yourself. If you are into a research, you have to need to make your name for yourself in a particular areas in which you decide, and this is what will distinguish you and make you well known, respected and regarded. So if you are not by because if you're not able to make a name in your research field, then there is difficult probabilities of you may be opted by the you may be doing good in the academic world. And the second, that is the research concerns a number of different sort of activities you have to involve. It involves that you must be excelling in developing your own projects. You must be getting funding. You must be having right methodologies in terms of data collections and analysis. Then you must be having you must be able to manage your research in limited resources. Then you must be able to write the research outcomes, and you must be, and the above all, in that the networking is very, very important. So research methodologies which will give you a different world in the academic world. And apart from that, are you able to circulate your name on yourself? So network with yourself. Whosoever working in your areas, try to develop your own personal rapport with them. If you're not reaching out to them, they will not reach out to you. The moment you have certain questions to them, so you will have a different rapport. Similarly, that you are while adopting a right methodology, you are trying to communicate to the world that you are a competent researcher. You will need to be at least proficient in all aspects of research work. Therefore, if you have demonstrated a good research skill, you will be able to get the positions as a research associate, a research assistant, and project directors are working in any MI that is have I that is taken more time. Do I have that time that similarly
Afroz,
that
you can continue. Afroz,
okay,
you can
okay, all
continue.
right. Similarly, that you need to be proactive and strategic. So if you are having a research, you cannot be dull and simply sitting at home and working on your destiny and writing. Even if you are a good researcher, if you are not proactive, if you are not strategic in people, in picking people to work with, in picking topic to work with, in picking institution to work with, then there will be a difficulty in your life. So my whole suggestion is that working with senior and some popular colleagues or professors will help you boost your own reputation. If you are working with you start looking after that who is known professor or researcher in that area. Approach the person to a person directly, talk to them, and establish your own reputation, and let the person concerned take interest in you, that yes, this is my potential good researcher. So that is the you will get your name quite quickly recognized in the academic world, in the research field. And not only that, so your name on things is an important part of building your research reputations and career. If whatever things are makes there, make sure that you get appropriate recognition for research outputs such as books, chapters, journal articles, reports, videos, other that is contents you are producing. So if constantly be in touch with the market, with the people, with the future audience who may be your takers. So the idea is always be constantly reminding that your research reputations are always in circulation. Similarly, that not only that, the another thing which you have to take into mind, that make sure that your publishing supports the development of your profile. You cannot publish everything which comes to your mind. You have to be careful in picking those areas or those research issues and problems which may help you with your career. You cannot publish everything and anything, and that you should be very, very careful, that is, while developing your publishing career, because you are not publishing only, you are building a profile. Keep in mind. So when you publish, think about the audience you want to speak, and to choose the journals, which journals is having the maximum uh, maximum the reach, maximum that is audience. You have to be very very selective in choosing the your thesis, your articles. This has happened that one fine moment of my life in academic career, I was being offered a publication of my thesis from Germany, and I thought that an offer from a publishing house from Germany would enhance my career. Later, I realized that that publishing house is not a serious publishing house, and it has a bad reputation in the academic world. And let me tell you, my friends, I do not talk about my that publication with me, any friends of mine or in my academic circle. Therefore, I had to regret that. So I should always be very, very careful that whom with what journal I am going to work with what publishing house, because I am not working on the publications. Similarly, that you must always look for research projects in your life. So if you are working an early career, if any professor is having a research project, always try to connect and go with the professor and say, show your willingness that I am willing to work with you as a research assistant or a field investigator in whatever ways forms. You are not only associating your name with the project, you are building a rapport with the project guide and the researcher, and that relationship is going to help you in the longer future. So that is a it will be a it will enhance your research interest, it will also enhance your networking, it will also enhance your public reputation. And finally, that if you want advancement in your career, make sure that your research work for you in terms of developing your profile, establishing the necessary contacts, and that is most important work. That if you are not able to attend the right conferences, right workshop, uh, meeting with right researchers who are related with the field, then you are not able to place your research in a context. So let me tell you, my friend, that you always be not only confined to your libraries but also meeting the people, knowing that who else are working or communicate what you are working with them. And keep in mind, don't do overdo, don't don't stretch yourself. So that is the things. And for a teaching as a career, this is what my point is, that if you are choosing research as a career, if you are choosing teaching as a career, but those few principles which I took in my life is that be prepared, but not too prepared. Be prepared, but not too prepared is that always is the fact. If I am a teacher, when I got a job from Aligarh Muslim University, I had to take the first classes. I invested around 15 days to take the first class. So I thought that I will be telling to my student the entire universe and the entire knowledge and entire things. And and the thing is that I was the collapse in the class. I collapsed, and I was not able to deliver the content what I read. So I should not be excessively. If I am an early career teacher, I should be prepared. I should plan my lectures. Uh, in a day, 3 hours you work on, be smart enough, and that is important, because you cannot teach unless you are prepared, and this is what I'm saying. Prepare, make the bullet points, important relevant points, because you have to clarify the basics to the student. You can, and you have to provoke interest amongst the student. If you're able to provoke interest, if you're able to clarify the basics, the rest job will be done by them. So your preparation is needed to that extent, and uh, you don't that is overboard with your preparations. Keep your boundaries. Keep your boundaries means, I remember, because I remember what Shahnawaz bhai once told me, that what is the teaching, and we were sitting in my chamber and said, teaching is all about, what I personally feel is that the student should laugh in the classroom, and if the students are not laughing, your teaching is meaningless. There is no humor. But if the students are laughing in the classroom, what is the principle? The student should laugh with you, not at you. Hmm. So thank you, Shahnawaz bhai, for this. You may not be remembering it; it's quite long back, and this is important. Keep your boundaries that you shall be interacting with the student, but the bond is there is a minimum hairline boundaries you have to maintain. Accessibility is important, but too accessibility is also dangerous many a time. You have to connect with the student because that 5 minutes, initial 5 minutes in your classroom will decide how your remaining 55 minutes going to be. This is what about the belief though means that boundaries of the students first like you, and if they started liking you, they will like what you are teaching. So that those things which I learned, it means not only that, apart from that, you cannot remain confined to one institution. You are working as a guest faculty, you're working as a temporary, you have to switch your jobs many a times, and changing job, changing universities requires because it adds dynamism in you. It gives you new energy, and therefore always develop your portfolio of teaching experience. Always keep on. That is what you are teaching, what new areas you have taken, what new teaching methodology have you adopted. Because globally, in India, you may be because if you are looking for a career option for 25,000 universities in the world, for me, the horizon is not limited to 993 universities in India. So for me, horizon is not only limited to the 51,000 colleges in India. For me, if I want, because it is very competitive, but I cannot get a job in India, but I can get a job in Bhutan, I can get a job in Switzerland, I can get a job in. So now we are a globally connected society, and therefore globally connected academic world as well. So make relevant. Similarly, that maintain your interest. If you are losing your interest, you are gone. So this is very, very important because many a times we get very, very bored. And make your mark. So whatever you're teaching, it's get to involved in teaching innovations. And if you are not innovating in your teaching and don't get involved in every new fad and fancy, you 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 will be losing ground and you will be stuck to one place. Get a good enough reputations in your teaching skill. Let the students say, this teacher class I'm not going to miss. This is a wonderful colleague to work with. Your colleagues must say, your institution must say that you are indispensable for me. So therefore, build an enough that is reputation wherever you are working. This is all about that is these days there are 360-degree evaluation. The corporate culture is coming in the universities. You are being assessed, you are being evaluated by those group of people who you evaluate for the remaining 6 month 4 month in a semester or in a full year system. They are going to, and your that is a future, your promotions, your that is dependent upon the evaluation of the students. And the new education policies which we are going to have is going to bring all the global techniques and tools what the in India as well. So keep in mind that be up to the scratch. Always be planned and prepared. And there is something what I said, the ticket to teach. Uh, that it is being traditionally assumed that if you get an academic job you can teach. No friend, if you get an academic job you cannot teach. This is not necessarily the case, and most that is academic wise that you have to keep working on your learning, keep improving your teaching methods. You cannot, because when a child is born, because once you are born in the academic world you cannot start teaching. Teaching is an art, and you have to develop over the periods of time. Similarly, when a child is born, that child first learns to turn over, then crawls, then stand, then walk, then run. So it's all about that experiential model. You cannot have it one fine day if you are an academic. So there is no license that you are now certified as a teacher and you are the wonderful teacher. So always think of, get a manageable workload. If you are not able to manage your workload and taking workload at home, you are in the classes. So it's a kind of balance. There are consultancy type of solutions that is important. So most important practical aspect is I'm saying it's the reputation matters, my friends. Reputations are look after our own reputation. most important aspect of your reputation is namely yourself as a researcher, as a teacher, as a colleague, as a student. So you must safeguard your reputation in our don't get known as someone who produces that. We have research publication, don't engage any tools. Don't use academic critique to express your personal analysis. So the person in academic world really it's not rewarding. I'm that if you are involved in the local politics these days, what is happening? No, keep yourself away. Don't be careful about gossips. Never ever indulge them because it requires a lot of time. It's not indulge into a gossip uh, about any faculty because you will not be able to get anything. Ultimately, it is going to harm. And be a good colleague. This is all about. But the most important practical aspect is all about. I am now a new researcher. What should I do? So I should have a curriculum, a wonderful curriculum. These days, the academic world is professional world, competitive world. There are other people equally uh, the and I have to develop a skill that is the most trying to get because if I'm interested to get a research funding, I need a good CV. If I'm interested in teaching jobs, I need a good CV. If I'm interested in consultancy, I need a good CV. It's all about that. What have you done in the course of your life? And you cannot, certain things you must keep in mind. That CV involves 6 things. That you must have personal details, but you cannot be extra personal in your CV. And that CV requires your research and academic professional standing. Where do you stand in the academic world? Third one is if you have done certain consultancy and public work in a professional capacity, teaching and the examination, leadership and administration and referees, who are the people going to recommend a later for you? So these things are very important. And if you are which you have to work, what we have discussed, as a student, as a researcher, as earlier career. So there are paths to academia which we have discussed, and sometimes I get an opportunity. How do I get an opportunity? I get an opportunity because my supervisor, my friends in the universities, they may tell me that there is a job opportunity and do. There is a press advertisement. If you are interested in looking forward, press advertisement. There are website, social media website. Explore that. Explore social media website in a very smart manner. You are not there to share. Don't share foods. Don't share anything. Share something which makes you relevant in the eyes of your friends. So that is important. Press a post your need there in social media because most of the top academics institutions are now hiring you while doing the profiles of social media. Because I am saying that you must be open to the world. Similarly, personal context. If you are not having a good network in this Stanford, because imagine a situation, there are 25,000 universities in the world, but there are only 500 relevant universities in the world. And these days, universities are working like there is a branding, there is a time ranking. What are the top 100 universities? Do you fit them? Scroll their websites. Scroll the profiles of the teachers, researchers, people working in those institutions. So that you have to constantly look after that, how a person got through to those positions. So if you are not in know of what features, what merits, what qualification a person who is already engaged in, you are not able to gain anything. Similarly, and constantly try to manage, talk to them by this way or that way. That is going to help you out. Nowadays, because there is a perish location, many opportunities are available. I'm saying that the right skills are an opportunity. If you're good, you are certainly going to be hired. Let's keep in mind that nobody can take your opportunity. Nobody can say that you are not eligible. Only you yourself can say that I am not eligible. I am not interested. The jobs in academic world is circulating. Are you eligible enough? Are you smart enough to catch hold of that? So always like that. If you are applying for the positions, you always be serious. From filling the application form to work on your curriculum vitae to writing your covering letters to supporting statements to get the referee's comment. If you are not serious, then this talk is not for you. It is for those who want to make serious career in the academic world, and it is not that traditional ways. It's now becoming very professional and very competitive. And there are of the economic slowdown. So it has to cut down, cut size those faculty and researchers who are not producing cross-cutting researches, relevant researches, industry-oriented researches, are teaching in a way which is most innovative so that the institution can market. Because now these days, the institutions and the universities and colleges are marketing. They are reaching out to these students, come and join me. And now that it's purely financial. So it's all about, and in all those things, don't lose your work-life balance. Have good friends in your life. If there is no work-life balance, you are again a failure. So don't stress out. Stress, anxieties, and depressions are the features when we are struggling hard. But that can be reduced if we have a good relationship at home. If we have good relationship with friends, we can talk to them, we can travel, we can go to a gym, we can go to cricket, we can go to movies, we can have a dining programs. Always have a work balance. Don't mix up your personal things. And with this, I'm open to the questions. And the floor is for Shahnawaz bhai. And thank you once again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Afroz. It has been a very engaging lecture. I may say that you have almost done a SWOT analysis of the academic world, academia. In fact, the strength, the weaknesses, the threat and opportunities have been dwelt at a very extensive length. And I tell you, have been very much being a precise exposition of the academic field, to the point, professional, and at times very brutally honest. That is also required in the academia. You have to tell the opportunities and also tell the negativity that is there in the academia, and what are the boundaries that you can cross and what are the limitations that you cannot cross. And there are so many aspects of academia which you have dealt, but there have been few takeaways from your session which I would like to tell this audience who are listening to that. And I will summarize 4 or 5 points which I feel is a takeaway which audience should take. First is that in the first session, in the first 15 minutes, the main thing which was said was that you have to have your clarity of mind. You cannot be a person who is confused all through your life, whether to go this way or to go that way. You have to have a purpose, and for the purpose, you have to have a clarity of mind. A mind without confusion is a mind meant for success. Let me tell you, it is as much important to have a confusion-free mind as to have a cloud-free atmosphere. The sunlight will only come if there is a cloud-free environment, and your confusions are acting like your clouds. So remove those confusion, have a clarity of mind, what you want to do in life. You want to go into technology sector, please go. If you want to go into this sector, please go. If you want to come to academia, then you have to follow the rules that make academia a thriving place for you. The second thing which I liked about this lecture was that there is no place for the mediocre people. Let me tell you, there is always a space at the top. A lot of space are available at the top. At the base level, a lot of crowding takes place. At the middle level, less crowding. Mediocre mindset cannot do well any field. Why only academia? Anywhere. You have to aim for the high, aim for the best of the universities, aim for the best of the courses, aim for the best of the research, aim for the best of the papers and the books you are going to write. Never have that mediocre mindset that after just getting a admission into a college or getting a degree or getting a job into a local university, your game ends there. No, actually the game starts from there, how far you can reach. So do not have that mediocre mindset. This is the second takeaway from this session, which I'd like to tell the audience. And the third takeaway, which I liked, is that there are 25,000 universities in the world, but the relevant are only 500. So when you see a crowd of 25,000 universities, do not get very happy that you have so many to explore. If you have a great mindset and if you want to soar high into this atmosphere of academia, then aim for those 500s. Always your vision should be about those best. Do not settle for the less. Next point which I liked about is build reputations. Not only in academia, as in your personal life, as well as in any career you take. Always have a reputation in work, in character, in action, in mind. You should be known for your reputation in academia, and there is no better place to have a reputation than academia. In civil service, we always have this feeling, and we have been told from the very beginning, before you go to your next posting, even before you reach, your reputation reaches there. Same is the case in academia. Before your book reaches or your research paper reaches, your reputation reaches the audience. So always maintain that integrity of reputation. Never compromise on that. Lastly, there is no shortcut to success. You have to go through the same path which others have taken. You have to tread the same difficulty level which others have gone through. Sometimes your immunity or the level of consciousness or the level to observe the difficulty is so high that you do not feel that difficulty. But yes, the physical difficulty, the mental difficulty, the difficulty of so many pressures, and especially during this pandemic world, is always there. So these are some of the takeaway from the lecture which I wanted to summarize for the audience. And now we begin our question and answer session. And first of all, there is a question from an audience who wants to ask, in this pandemic situation, this question have been asked to almost all the speaker, and I feel that you should also not be exempted from this question. So the first question is, how during this pandemic times one can concentrate and keep focus on your goal when every day there are so many challenges coming up? It is not a part of your academic field, but Dr. Afroz, being an experienced person, you interact with a student. So a student is asking how to concentrate. Maybe he's not from academia, maybe he wants to go to civil services, but how to keep focus in these troubled times, Dr. Afroz?
Uh, Fine. What I did, I can share is, let me tell you, pandemic is really a crisis for the world, and this COVID, and everybody is struggling. For me, it's not only it's something, a crisis to worry about, but it's also a crisis to feel proud, because it is giving you an opportunity to introspect one. It is giving you quality time. It's giving you time to engage yourself creatively in things which you have to. I must say that just close down yourself in your room and decide that what do you want from what is your life? What is the meaning of your life? What is the purpose? What gives you maximum satisfaction? Draw a chart. So try to develop that this is an opportunity, rare time opportunity, when you are getting time for yourself, for your people, for your friends. Talk to your friends. Engage yourself with the things which interest you the most, not always be career oriented. Read something which you have thought of at certain point of time in your life. Have some books in your wardrobe. Read it. So play with you. That's so lots of the things. Plan yourself. Revisit what you did in the past and what you may do in the future. There are lots of things. Develop a human relationship. This is the best time to develop network. This is the best time. And identify the kind of people, if you're really professionally interested, that who are the people could, in their research, in the career which you are in, or in the researches which you are in, try to get connection, because social media has made it easier for you. Discuss something new. So newness may come during the discussion. So don't take this pandemic because there is a natural of limitations. You can overcome it with your attitude. if you're really, really interested. I did it. I did lots of work. I talked to lots of friends. I sit down, I play with my kids. I'm in touch with many research collaborations across the world. I read lots of good books during this period of time. I engaged youth. I walked. I tried to understand my house the best. I was not knowing where the things were, where lies what. I revisited my past. So I was having enough time with me. And that has given, it's not an anxiety time, it was also quality time. Whether choice is yours, choose your, because if you're not able to choose, you cannot make your life interesting.
Very well, Dr. Afroz. In fact, the choice is yours only, ours only. How you utilize your time, how you utilize your mind. Never let your mind be a victim. As I've been always telling, your mind is the repository of everything. You want to keep your mind engaged in confusions, distractions, or you want to keep your mind engaged with hope. I told you, Mind Sparkle series is to sparkle the mind. Sparkle your mind with things which gives you hope, admiration, faith and happiness. These are the things that keeps you attracted towards your goal. Continuing with this, I would like to ask a question. Dr. Afroz, very quick and crisp answer that audience. By his question, I can understand he wants 4 or 5 points, just crisp summary. What are the success tips you would like to give to an upcoming academician or a researcher to make a name for himself in that or herself in that field? Dr. Afroz.
So, few things which I suggest for early researcher or something. And the one is, you should be serious enough as a student. You should be able to develop domain expertise in the areas which interest you the most. Second, that you must have a good publishing career. You should be able to publish uh, good articles, be in the edited books, be it in the journals, be it in the popular mediums writing. So that you should have a good, wonderful publishing careers. Third one is that you should be able to build a network with those people who are already into the field, and those who are, if you are having a good sharing good relationship with them, there is a possibility your name will be recommended by them, or your name will always be circulating in their peers that this person is good in the research and that person is in the research. The third one is, that's the reputation always come out, because whenever you indulge into a discussions with anybody, you chart, because you chart a plan, you must having a, a plan ready with yourself. You make a wider plan that what are the areas, what things you want to achieve, who you want to meet, who you want to discuss, because those things are not, because you have to brand. Success is all about branding. Not only that, your knowledge is important. So your knowledge will remain with you if you are not circulating it by means of different strategies, techniques, because you have to learn that. So these days you have to be a smart academic as a student, as a researcher, as a early career researcher, because those things are very important. As a youth, if you are not having a reputation as a student, as a researcher, as a colleague, then you will not be able to do success. Success is not something. Success is artificial entity. It is a learned behavior. It can be achieved. So if others can achieve, you can equally achieve. So try to work on the techniques, strategies, learning, methodologies, not only thinking about I should be a successful things. No, it will not come on platter.
Fine, Professor Afroz. You have to learn behavior. Success is also a learned behavior. Well said, Dr. Afroz. In fact, to be a good researcher, you have to have that synergy between being a student, being a curious student, and a teacher. A learner all the way. In fact, I remember somebody was wise man telling that there are only two things that a wise person does in the world is that he either learns or he makes others learn. There's no other third way. Either you teach or you teach yourself by learning, self-learning. So get motivated researchers. You have to learn yourself and create a name for yourself by dedication, hard work. It's not a one day that you just get a one ball and you click a 6 and that you get a name immortalized It's nothing like that. It's a career, well planned out, 30, 40 years of career. And in your 5 to 10 years of career, you make a name for yourself in whatever field you are. So continuing with that, Dr. Afroz, there is a question which I feel that you should give me 3 examples of how a teacher can bring diversity into a lecture so that the audience or the students connect with him, go with the flow of the teacher, gets enamored by the teacher, the way he teaches, by his knowledge and by his phenomena. I remember there is a physics teacher widely known, please search in the Google, Feynman. Dr. Feynman is regarded as one of the greatest teacher of physics. Whether he was in Harvard, Stanford, I don't know, but his Feynman lectures of physics are famous all over the world. Yeah. Please Google it and search for it. Why students used to like him? So I would like to ask you 3 characteristics to engage students and bring diversity into the class. Professor Afroz.
So for me, that take your teaching seriously. One, and seriously I mean that when you are going to the classroom, imagine the entire setup before going to that. Imagine that there are different kinds of people sitting there. Do you know them personally or not? For example, develop a rapport with the student. So teacher and taught relationship is very, very important. Every student should feel connected with you. And let me tell you one example. I was teaching in law universities. I delivered a talk that politics is my girlfriend, and there was a laughter, and then there was, and my wife is jealous about it, because the idea is I'm not in because I'm interested in teaching, but not too much teaching. I should be interested in bringing diversity. It means I should be a human, because you are playing a role. You are going to shape the young mind. You are not only there to teach contents. You are there to bring humors. You are going to be a friend in the classroom. You are going to be a learner. So the one is, take your that is classroom seriously. Take your relationship with your students seriously. Take your contents which you want to deliver to the student seriously. And these 3 things are very, very important.
Fine. I still remember you told me this aspect of your girlfriend wife analogy. So I remember that 2-3 years back in the class you used to mention, and it means that you have to take your academics seriously. You have to have the diversity of knowledge in your mind, then you will bring diversity to the class. If you are not yourself diverse, there is no way you can bring diversity and engagement to the class. So the next question is that, is there any mechanism in India or worldwide, and I'm talking about India only, to give accreditation to the researchers and the teachers? Is it universities, you know, NACC accreditation is there, but is there any accreditation as such for the teachers or the researchers in the academia in India? Or do you have that examples from abroad? This is one question asked by an audience.
See, accreditations are given to the institutions. So, for example, nowadays the institutions are graded in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of knowledge they are producing, in terms of knowledge transfer, in terms of patent, in terms of uh, the teacher student. So that is, accreditations are to the institutions. There are now accreditations to researchers and faculties taking place in Europe, because nowadays, because if you take that, uh, every teacher and researchers are given indexes. So when we publish, there is different indexes are there. So one is the first, what is your research credentials? The academic performance index is there. Then based on your research contributions, and those are needed. Then there are, if I am publishing something in a journal, what is the citation index of my article? Whether people across the world are citing my work or not, they're taking. So I am given indexes, the ratings, rankings, the journals are given. If I am able to publish in them, I get the highest reputations. If I am, that is a researcher, for example, there are researchers across the world. If you are able to get funding with the good institutions, it build up your research. The accreditations to individual researchers or the faculties are missing in India. It is yet to develop. Now the private universities have come up who are now branding their own researchers, research and faculty, like Ashoka University, like Azim Premji University, like that. The similar culture is going to come up in that, where you will get a ranking as a researcher, as a faculty. But in the world, that there are indirect ways of getting you being accredited by the different agencies. That is still because you are being evaluated. Because now that whenever you are applying for a foreign universities, you have to show you that how you are being ranked by the student, how are you ranked by your colleagues, how are you being ranked in that academic session by the institutions. So now that those things are being done, and it is being demanded by the other institutions. In India, it is being demanded by the private universities who are now earning repute, which we pursue. There is an indirect ways of getting a researcher and faculty accredited. Otherwise, the institutionalized ways of recognition accreditation in India is to have it to the institution. For example, there is a NAC accreditation, there are NIRF accreditation, there are private entities who are giving you rankings in terms, like for example Times of India, like for example other newspapers. There are other private institutions who gives you ranking order. They are giving you scores on different parameters. So now in India, that's the institutions are being ranked based on the performance of the researcher and the faculty and the administrations, not directly the researcher and the institutions being ranked.
Yeah, one good aspect of your answer is that institutions are not only ranked by the physical capacity or the laboratory capacity or the infrastructure, but by the level of research that is happening from the researchers. That also scales up the ranking of the institutions. Not that Harvard is only ranked higher, or Cambridge or the Oxford, because of the infrastructure or tradition or history, but by the way the researchers are coming up, the way the researchers are bringing new ideas to the world. So it's a very good takeaway from your things, and this points towards the key performance indicators, as we call is the KPIs of the researchers. How many times your work has been referenced by others, how many times your work has been cited in their research papers. So in this automated world of online, with a click, one can know how many times Dr. Afroz has been quoted on a particular subject, how many times his books have been referenced in good research, peer-reviewed journals. So these are all KPIs, or you can say the ranking or the accreditation of the researchers. So Dr. Afroz, continuing with that, I have a larger question for you to ask, and please try to analyze it into a simple phenomena so that all our audience can get a viewpoint about this. This pandemic world has created a situation in which the face-to-face classroom may be a passing. Online remote education, mass-based education is almost a reality. Second aspect of my question is that as this is going towards online based, the faculty or the teachers will also be freelanced. There's a scope that every teacher will be had per subject, not per year or years. It may be as per sections also. If Dr. Afroz is an expert on constitutional democracy, so he can be only be given job for constitutional democracy to lecture on. So the world of freelancing expertise is coming in all field. So is this a possibility of seeing all these factors? What kind of future do you see for the upcoming academia? Those who want to enter into the field of professorship or lecturership, is it a good thing, or the job prospect is getting skewed a little bit, or the phenomena is going to be widespread, which everybody will have some part of the cake? Dr. Afroz.
Yeah, I agree with your propositions, and see that we are going to experience an age which is called virtual universities or knowledge transfer institutions across the world. So virtual universities are the fate of the contemporary world. Saying that, but it will take away the opportunities from the faculty is wrong. It will take away the opportunity from those who are not actually interested in making themselves relevant to the existing techniques and technologies. Second one is that there is a uh, third possibility that online classrooms is giving you, because once freelancing, I myself, because earlier I am not able to get certain professors from Chicago University and from the Stanford University, but because it requires lots of cost, traveling times and energy. Now I simply request the professor, if he has time, half an hour, the person is not, he is available. So I am having an expert domain knowledge getting received from a person who is the first in researching in that area. So the one is, secondly, I am able to circulate my merits across the world. I am now potentially viable for most of the universities, because they do not, because I'm saying that uh, they may not be interested in giving me a job, the housing, traveling, or maximum, because they are just buying my hours. So they have bought my few hours from them. Secondly, but the only thing is that whether am I relevant enough for them to ask me for that? Hmm. So if I'm, because are we able to, because this is what my whole principle is. The opportunities are there. The online classroom or virtual mode of classroom is going to create lots of opportunities for those who are going to adjust with the change, who are going to upgrade themselves and putting their knowledge across. Because how can somebody approach you if you are not known to the academy, if you have no videos on the YouTube, if you have no research credentials on the social media platform? Because nowadays the world is on your tips, fingertips, because there was a generation, manual generations. Now touch button generations are there. They want to know you with a click of their button. If you are not available on the screen, you will not be hired and you will lose your job, because you did not upgrade with the changing technologies. You have to do that. So others are equally, that is, I'm able to receive primary knowledge from the direct expert. I'm able to sell myself. I'm able to uh, get more opportunities, get hired by many institutions, by others. But for all those things, what I just said need to be done.
Dr. Afroz, I'm happy that you could answer this question, and it is quite clear. The world which we are trying to visualize and is still at our doorstep is the world in which there will be decentralized learning. It will be a learning, will not be an exclusive vocation, as our national education policy also hints towards that. What is that? Let me a little bit clarify. You may be doing work also and at the same time studying also. After 2 years of graduation, you may feel like going away from graduation, take your diploma, go away. After 10 years, you will come and again complete your 2 years of other part of the graduation, and you get a graduation certificate. So whatever you invest, you get that certificate for. In our traditional way of education is that you have to complete that vocation. Then only you will be recognized that you participated in that process. That age is gone. The age of decentralized learning is coming. 1 hour of learning you have done, that will be appreciated. That will count towards your credits. So in this way, this points towards a specialized world, the world in which you will be counted by hours, even by minutes, the kind of information you are going to relay. Nobody is asking you to commit for 10 years, 30 years of service. They want you to commit for 1 hour. If you can add value to that 1 hour of your lecture or 1 hour of your teaching, then you are a good teacher. Nobody is going to wait for your 10 years of your maturity to come and deliver that. So a decentralized learning is coming, and that will open up a huge possibilities for academia. I am quite hopeful. Why? Because everybody cannot be expert in all political science. Some may be interested in one aspect, very good. Some may be in other field. So he can develop that core area, that core competence, and succeed in this academic world. And as Dr. Afroz, you said, if you're not visible, in fact, you are not existing, not available, you are not existing in the world. You have to be visible. And how you will be visible? You will be visible through your work. And how you will be working with all those what Dr. Professor has said, and try to tell the world that you are doing the work. There's nothing wrong about it. Until unless the world doesn't know that you are working on a vaccine for COVID, How can the world have hope? So whatever you are doing, try to tell what you are doing so that you are ranked, you are accredited, you are loved, or you are hated, or you are discussed, or you are pushed out. Something must go on about you. The idea is to be visible. So continuing with this question, one question is there which I feel it's a very interesting question, not related to academia only, but he wants to ask, what is the most interesting job which is available in India or in the world, which we are not aware of, which we are unaware of? That gentleman probably wants to pursue that job. So do you have any idea which a job exists, but we don't know? Very interesting job. I may add one or two. You can also add one or two so that we can answer that gentleman.
Uh, the idea is
From the academic field also, you can tell any thing which is a spin-off of academia, which can be a job. Say like a Gallup poll, they engage hundreds of researchers, or for any big exercise like election, they need experts for a particular region.
see, because we are, it's idea is because we are in the age of research. That's what you have said. And there are, the quest for knowledge is quite high. Everybody is looking for a partner because now there is a global quest. The idea is anything I can have a development. I can have an expertise on I can anything because which is mundane. But if I am known expert in that field, there are people who may come to you looking forward for you. Anything mundane, because I never thought of that in not only that teaching, research, colleges, school, and everything. I can have an domain expertise in laughing, in giving that laughter, because now that there are training modules are coming, people are looking for trainers. Stress, anxiety is in one. If you are able to give you, if you are a great humorist, you can give people a good laugh. You can develop your own sense of that is marketing. For example, live comedies are a career. For some period of time, it was not very popular. You can constantly think on imagining a ways in which you are the best. So don't look for that an opportunity which is available. Look for the things which what is the things you made for. So and for that you have to invest time for yourself, be it a music, be it that is a trainer, be it in because everything is academic, where you are teaching, where you are doing research, where you are bringing change in the life of the people. So the idea is not only that you can be a field investigator. There are lots of civil societies who are offering so how to design it. We never thought of that. There will be a campaign design modules. You have to now that Cambridge Analytica is trying to influence the electoral outcome. We have never thought of that. There are any other ways to influence the electoral outcome. There are people in the academic world who are because in God, because in a very for example, we never thought of in political science lots of politics of emotions, politics of care, politics of lots of things new, because we are in a there is a microphysics of issues emerging, and there are microphysics of issues you can create. The idea is understand yourself. Don't pursue a career which exists or do not exist. Pursue a career, develop a career which gives you a satisfaction, create opportunities for yourself. So those are things. It's not about that searching and saying that what is the career. Thousands of the careers are available which we may not be knowing, but the person who is interested in may explore it and come to know. The idea is whether what kind of things I'm interested in, so that I start searching, looking for. Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Afroz. In fact, if you are so unsure about the future, create a future for yourself.
Yeah.
What Google did, everybody was knowing that search and indexing is the first page in a book, but they made $1 trillion economy out of search. So listeners, if you are confused what career to choose, why not create your own career for yourself? It's a decentralized world. Think about any area. you can definitely score a point out there. In fact, let me tell you, 20 years back, there are 10 most popular jobs which never existed. Coding job was not existing 20, 25 years old. You ask back, there was no coding. In fact, one of the most important job that will come in the future, I'm going to tell you, is about teaching culture, humanity, social sciences to robots, to the artificial intelligence. Yeah. There is a guy called Andrew. He was a Google scientist. He left that job of Google and he's trying to teach or do research in teaching robots how to learn languages, how to be neuro-linguistically correct for every culture. A robot in Japan has to behave differently with a robot, say in India. He has to do a lot of things culturally different from a Japanese or an American. So who will teach robots what is humanity, what is beauty, what is perception? And if it do not teach, then bias will come in. I remember reading an article 5 years back. There was a beauty contest judged by an artificial intelligence in America. You know, all the winners were from a particular race and color. The robots were not taught that beauty is not a single concept, it's a multi-dimensional. So the upcoming job in which lots of social science students will have a job prospect is the prospect in which you have to teach human aspects to robots. So there are lots of possibilities existing. Like Dr. Afroz also said, Cambridge Analytica and so many other things. So continuing with that, there's one last question before we come to the conclusion of today's wonderful session. I'd like to ask you, Dr. Afroz, what are the ways in which the entry of private universities are going to have effect on the integrity of the education, the research aspect, the wider aspect of progressiveness in the social science, especially what way the students can benefit and what way job prospects can benefit out of this private entry of universities? Will it going to limit the intake of lecturers or professors in future, or the government is going to create a situation in which lots of opportunities will be available in this private education partnership?
There are, because because the involvement of the private sectors in the field of education is not a new phenomenon. It has come in the Europe quite early. Even Harvard is a private institution, and most of the topmost which you see in the ranking are the private institutions. Second point is, what is the worry is whether the classical institutions survive before them or not. A few years back, if you are not changing your course curriculum, if you are not coming out with an experiments which are the need, because if you're not able to, what is the patents are you able to produce with your teaching in the classroom? What is the knowledge transfer? What is the university spin-off? What is because you did not produce knowledge research which is the need of the industry jumped into the field of the education to produce research knowledge and a student who can be beneficial for them, because they have to offer the placement to them. Why not to produce the kind of employee they want, the kind of researchers they want? Second is, it's a positive aspect. It is new universities have to survive before the traditional universities, because private universities are selling education at a very higher cost. So affordability, if you are not able to distinguish yourself as something new, innovative, relevant, job-oriented institution, you are not going to survive, because traditional universities are offering educations in a very, very meager price. So they have to attract the audience. So the private institutions are fast becoming an elitist institutions, where the students who can afford the educations and get the new skills, new knowledge, new learning, they can understand the global environment, because in those institutions, environments are also being created which match globally, because curriculum is which is globally relevant, and therefore you are employable globally. But the traditional university has to struggle, because it is going to create a gap. It is going to create a gap between them, and gap will be maintained so long as The traditional universities are not rising to the occasion to experiment. And what is the traditional university? The researchers working in the universities, the faculty, the professors who had to rise to the occasion because they had to be relevant. So they should not make their curriculum static. They should not make their teaching methodology static. They should not be hesitant in adopting the new knowledge coming up from the globe. Imagine you are not existing in vacuum or isolation. You are living an interconnected world, a competitive world where if you are not able to prove your relevance, you are perished. So the idea is private involvement of the private institutions in the education fields may create a huge gap. It may promote elitism in the educations, but at the same time, those elitism, those gaps will widen if the classical traditional universities and institutions are not taking up the institutions, are not taking up their institutions seriously, their students seriously. So they have to perform. So idea is if you're not simply accusing, blaming private universities, fine. I agree that a gap is going to come up, but merely critiquing it is not enough. So this is what my take on this.
Yeah, we are also very positive about this National Education Policy 2020. This policy is going to integrate our education system with the rest of the world. In fact, our education system, especially the higher, was a little cut off from the rest of the world. We had 3 years of graduation, they had 4 years of graduation in the best of the countries, and so many other aspects. But this is going to bridge that gap. And the second, a lot of free, wide area is available to the students to go into any area of their choice. A person who is pursuing physics can also pursue music at the side by side. And if he decides that music is his vocation, he can excel in that. So that choice of subjects and then amalgamating it as per desire and your suitability is one of the fine points of this education policy. And I have a good hope for this to bring to the higher education field. And Dr. Afroz, this is our tradition that in the last we ask only one aspect to the speaker, and that is, what is your parting message to our audience? A message about hope or about the future, which they can imbibe. In fact, the last word is the final word. The last word is the final impression the people take away from any session, especially the online. What would you like to tell our audience? Your parting message, very crisp, very clear, and very fruitful. Dr. Afroz.
Uh, my whole point of argument is you cannot be a success if you are not interested in yourself. One, because there is failures and success is a matter of choice. Choose one and start working for it. There are paths which are difficult, and both ways, because when I'm struggling, I have to not struggling to just lead my life into a misery, into an anxiety, and start killing me. But my fear, my failures is my creations. Believe in yourself. Just believe this. If I'm a successful because I wanted to be successful. If I'm a failure, I wanted to be a failure. Choose, write your own story. Don't come out with an excuses. Let others gives you an example. Let's see, this man did that. If similarly, two things I remembered in my life. Two, because I love poetry, Hindi, Urdu, English, all. So Jayashankar Prasad was a person I liked one poetry, which I know that I had to go through the struggle. He just wrote that, वो पथ क्या पथिक कुशलता क्या जिस पथ में बिखरे शूल न हो, नाविक की धैर्य कुशलता क्या जब धाराएं प्रतिकूल न हो. ये वो उस टाइम मैं याद करता था जब मैं अपने आप को तैयार कर रहा था, या मैं उन दोस्तों को मैंने देखा जिन्होंने अपनी स्टोरी लिखी. And I still remember that is when I'm doing something in my life, I started receiving something meaningful in my life. I remember Shumangal Singh Suman and saying that पथ भूल न जाना पथिक कहीं पथ में कांटे तो होंगे ही, दुर्वादल सरिता सर होंगे, सुंदरता की मृग तृष्णा में पथ भूल न जाना पथिक के. Means we should not be diverted from what we want to achieve. We should not be subjecting our senses to certain things which may ultimately lead to our failures. So have a good control on yourself. Manage your life, plan yourself. You are the creator of your destiny. Believe this, and you will be a success in your life. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Shahnawaz bhai.
Wonderful, Dr. Afroz, and your poetry is quite commendable. In fact, it's so inspiring. People get motivated by poetry. And to sum it up, I'd also quote Dr. Iqbal, शराए मोहब्बत में है इशरते मंजिल हराम, शराए मोहब्बत में है इशरते मंजिल हराम, शोरिशे तूफान हलाल लज्जते साहिल haram. In fact, in this vocation of love, that is your passion to succeed, your rest is almost a haram. You have to keep on working, keep on trading, keep on going towards your goal. Do not fade away, do not give up. These are the messages of pandemic times also. In fact, I will tell you, the most contagious thing is not this corona. The most contagious aspect is hope and fear. What do you choose? You choose hope or you choose fear. Corona is fear. Your success, your goal, your aspiration is hope. So choose hope. That is the most contagious thing. 70, 80 people or 90 people listening here, if they have hope, they can transmit it to so many people. Hope has a compounding interest. In fact, it has a compounding affection and a compounding character. It can invigorate thousands from 100, 1,000 to lakhs. So choose hope. As Dr. Afroz has said, there's nothing to choose but hope, and change will be change. You cannot change change. You have to accept change. Flow with the change. The French always used to say, the most permanent thing is the change. And they created the revolution, the French Revolution. One of the only revolution that is in the books to learn. So believe in the change, believe in the hope, have faith in yourself, and proceed along. And as is this Mind Sparkle series, we want to sparkle your mind. In fact, I'm quite happy that Dr. Afroz has been able to do justice to this series. He has sparkled our mind. He has given up expertise to us. He has given us path, direction, the guidance, and engaged us. In fact, he was telling that audience should flow with him. We have flowed along with him. And in fact, the last message, the parting message, is the message which he has given for all of us. Do not be mediocre. Be the best in your field. And he is the best. He will always expect the best from you. And I, being the host, I will expect best from you and hope from you. Please hope for the best. With this, I would like to thank Dr. Afroz, all the audience, and everybody who has been connected with this Mind Sparkle series. Let us sparkle each other. Let us sparkle the mind of all of our fellow beings so that we create a good country, a hope, country of hope, a future country of India where every vocations of life, employability is there, economy is there, hope is there for all of us. With this, I would like to say goodbye to you, Dr. Afroz, to all the audience. And as usual, please type your email in the chat box so that if somebody wants to connect with you for being a mentee, they can contact you and you can guide them in the careers ahead. With this, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Afroz, for being with us. Thank you, audience, also. Just good day to you. Stay blessed and stay safe.
I'm just typing my